Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bree Buonomo. Hi if you're new here, or hey if you've been here before. And today we are continuing my end of the year videos by talking about my 2021 reading goals. So let's just jump into it. So my reading goals relatively, I think, stay the same, but they're tweaked a little bit for this year because I have some specific things that tie into the goals that I wanted to accomplish. So we're gonna make them a little bit different. And anyway, the first thing that always stays consistent with me is my number one goal, which is to read 52 books in the year. Almost every year for the past 4 years, I've been able to accomplish this. One year, I think I read like 80 some. And then last year, I think I only read like 54. This year, I'm almost at 60. So we're always around the general vicinity of 52. And for me, I think that's very doable. So I'm always gonna keep it at 52. Unless for some reason my life drastically changes so much and I think I'm gonna have to read less. I can never imagine myself reading more. So we're keeping it at 52. The second goal that I have for 2021. This is where we're starting to change my goals a little bit. Initially, when I was making this list, I was going to say, I want to read 5 to 6 big books. Big books meaning over 500 pages. But throughout the course of this past month, this has changed a little bit because there are 2 series now. Both series, every single book in the series is over 500 pages. And I want to read both of them next year. So this is how we're changing it. So the second goal that I have is, 1, I want to read the Way of Kings series. Is that the Stormlight Archives? I'm not really sure. So The Way of Kings is the first book in the series, and there are currently 4 out, with the most recent one just being released this year, which was Rhythm of War. This is now on my list to read for 2021 in its entirety because I keep getting peer pressured by my friend Rachel to read it because she doesn't have many people to talk about this book series with and she wants me to do it. So Brandon Sanderson has been an author that I've wanted to read for the last 3 years. And his books are gigantic most of the time, and that always intimidates me. So, without further ado, we are going to finally read him, and we are going to read one of his most intimidating series in the year 2021. I'm a little nervous because they are huge, but we're gonna try. The second series that I want to read in its entirety, it's been out for a few years, it's completed for a few years now, and that is the Passage series by Justin Cronin. I mentioned this book last year in my 2020 reading goals. I did not get to it. However, this is going to be like a 2-parter goal because the first thing is I want to read all 3 books in that series. And again, I believe the series is like 500 to like 1,000 pages, somewhere in that range. So they all qualify for this big book goal. But the second part of this is that we are talking about it, it's in the works, but it's going to happen. I'm going to be doing a buddy read with a fellow author tuber, where the 2 of us are going to read the series throughout the year, probably once every like third part of the year, so like maybe like in April and August and in December, but we're going to read the books and then have a live stream to discuss them. So we are going to be doing a year-long readathon of this with live streams attached, and I'm very excited. So the details are to come on this. We'll figure it out as we go along, but just if you wanted to read the Passage as well, you know, keep in mind that we're going to have a readathon for the year. So this might be the year for you to read it as well. On that note, my 4th, is that what we're on now? The 4th goal, which ties into that, is I would like to have a couple live shows that have to do with buddy reading. I'm deciding on how I want to format this. Like, I don't know. I don't want to like overcommit. I don't want to say I'm going to do once a month because that's going to be way too much for me. But I would just like to have a smattering of them throughout 2021. I'm definitely going to have 3 while we're reading the Passage because the Passage is a trilogy, so there's 3 books. So that means I'm going to have 3 live shows for that. I might say like maybe 6 because that's half a year. So like maybe like I'll do 3 additional live stream buddy reads where I can talk about it. But 6 is like the top. Like I'm not necessarily going to definitely say 6, but I would like to maybe try for 6 so that I can read a little bit more and discuss with you guys as well as my friends. I'm also considering as like a little like a sub goal for this is I really love playing video games, and I did start streaming on Twitch a little bit this year while playing video games, and I would love to see like how I can combine my love of video games and streaming as well as like doing like a book club on Twitch. So like while we're talking about the book, we will be streaming. That's an idea. I'm not sure, just because I know that cross-platforming, so like Twitch and YouTube don't always cross very well. And then video games and books, I feel like, don't cross very well. However, if you're interested in something like that, let me know. Just, I want to gather some interest. And I might, maybe one of those live streams that I do, I will do it over on Twitch instead while we're playing video games and chatting and having a good time. So if you're interested in that, definitely let me know down below and we'll maybe make it happen. The next goal I have for 2021 is to read 2 classics. You heard that right. Just 2. I tend to set myself up for too high of expectations, especially when it comes to books that I don't typically reach for. Classics are one of them. While I do love a lot of classics, I just have a hard time, like since I've graduated college and I don't really have any need to read classics, I don't normally grab them. But I have an entire bookshelf, almost 2, because my shelf that's behind me, where it's on my leather bound, the majority of those are classics. And then my lowest shelf, which is normally never being able to see in my videos, is entirely filled with classics. So I have a lot, and I really, really want to read at least 2 of them, just so I can read the books that I currently own, because I own a lot of books. I would also be totally open to combining the classics with one of those live streams that I mentioned as well. I did have some anticipation to do that this year, but that plan fell by the wayside a little bit. So hopefully in 2021, we will actually get to do that in some capacity. And on the same track, for 2021, I would like to read 2 Stephen King books. Because again, every single year I say I should finally read Stephen King. And every single year, I do not do it. And I am starting to collect a lot of Stephen King books, and some that aren't even horror. So last year I wanted to read horror books, and I did read a few. This year I just want to open it up and just say Stephen King, because Stephen King writes fantasy and horror, and he dabbles in a lot of different things. So I just think if I open it up to that, it can be doable, because I own quite a few of his books, and they're not all in the horror genre. So we're gonna try 2, and I think I can do it. Additionally, I would also like to create a video where I have my audience choose my TBR. Now, last year I kind of had the same thing where I want to create some videos where they're like TBRs or challenges for reading, and I really want to do it this year, but I want to try to use the books that I already own. So the one video in particular I would like to see is me creating a choose my TBR challenge where I pick books that have been sitting on my shelves for a very long time, but have like a similar theme. So for instance, I have The Iron King and the Wicked Lovely series. They're both books about fairies that I've never read before. So I would pick those 2 and have you guys choose between one. And then I would do that for other books as well. And that's like the idea that I've been holding on to for a while, but I just haven't had, I mean, I'm a smaller YouTuber, so sometimes my engagement on videos isn't as high, and it's hard when you want to do a video like this, but you're not sure if you'll have engagement to be able to pull it off. So for 2021, I'm hoping that, I'll get over 500 subscribers and have a decent amount of them that are active, and I can actually do this video. So I would probably pick between like 3 to 5 books, like a book battle between 3 and 5, and that would be my TBR for whatever month I choose. My next goal is I have a collection of Robert Frost poetry. Robert Frost is my favorite poet of all time, and I had been slowly making my way towards it. I think in like 2018 or 2019, it's been so long now. But I wanted to start my day by reading like 2 or 3 of his poetry so that I can get through this collection. And eventually I just kind of like put it off, and I never picked it back up again. And I want to finish that poetry collection next year. I don't see why. It's huge because Robert Frost wrote a lot of poetry, but I don't see why I can't actually just read through the entire book in an entire year. So I'm making that a goal, and I'm somehow going to finish it, guys. It's gonna happen. I just feel like we can do it completely. And my last two goals are pretty easy ones, and the one is a carryover from 2020 because we didn't do it in 2020. But that one is to watch 5 book adaptations. So I mentioned this in my recap, but I wanted to initially, me and a friend were doing where we would read the book and then watch the movie adaptation together. And we only did that for like 2 books, and then our lives got crazy and we fell off that wagon. And we both we would read the book at different times, and then we would forget to schedule to watch the movie together. So in 2021, I'm just going to kind of put this on myself that I want to watch 5 adaptations. And they could be movies or / books that I've already read and just never watched the movie or the TV show adaptation. They can be, I can read the book and then watch it. I can just never want to read the book and just watch an adaptation. I don't care what it is. I just want to watch 5. And I already know that the Grishaverse series, Shadow and Bone, that is coming in April, my friends. So you best believe I am watching that. I also know that Dune is coming out next year at some point. I really want to see that. I also own the book. I want to read that as well, but we'll see what comes first. And there's a couple that I have to catch up on, such as The Hate U Give, the Laura Jean movies. I watched the first one. I didn't continue with the second one, and I think the third one is also probably coming out in 2021. So I want to catch up on those. So that's already 3 to 4 movie adaptations, TV show adaptations that I can watch. And there's so many more coming out that I feel like I'll be able to get 5. I just want to do it so that I can finally say that I've watched them, because I feel like a failure when I get excited for movies that I never end up watching anyway. And the last reading goal that I have, and honestly, it's probably the most challenging for me, but that is to limit my book buying next year. The woes of a reader, guys. So I have been getting into a habit, and it's not necessarily bad. I'm not spending a ton of money on books because most of the time I buy them when they're discounted, either audiobooks, ebooks, or I buy a bunch of different hardcovers and paperbacks through library sales and various places for discounts. So I do buy brand new books, but a lot of times I shop secondhand more often than not. So while I'm not spending a lot of money, that's really not the point of this goal. The point of this goal is because I am starting to accumulate too many and I'm never going to read them. And I do want to be able to be better with my recommendations for you guys. I think I do pretty well with recommendations because I do read a lot, but when you only read about 50 some books a year and you have literally over 1,000 books that you own, and people start to look at your shelves and go, oh, what do you think about this book? And I have to sit here and go, I didn't read it yet. That sucks as a feeling. And to be honest, I don't like to keep books on my shelves where I don't actually like them, or I don't feel like I'm ever going to read them again, because I feel like that's false advertising as well. I'm not a person to be like, oh yeah, here's this book. Even though I hated it, I'm still owning it. It's just not my jam. I want to fill my library shelves with the books that I absolutely love and will die for to recommend to people. So because of that, next year, I recently put out my most anticipated 2021 releases, and my goal is to only pre-order those books and not buy any more. The small caveat to this is that I do order a lot of book subscriptions, and I like to support those book subscriptions usually. So if that's the case and there's a different book that comes in those boxes, then I'm not going to penalize myself if I get it. But I also have no qualms with skipping book boxes if I don't think I'm going to like the book. And I'm someone who I don't really care about being surprised about the book, especially for Owl Crate, for instance. Owl Crate always has exclusive covers and exclusive designs that the book is still going to be a surprise to me usually, even if I know what the title is. And I like to know that I'm going to get a book that I'm going to enjoy or be interested in versus getting something that I didn't look into and I'm not really interested in at all. So we're gonna try to do this because I really, really want to be able to get this list down. And even when books are for discounts, I think another endeavor I'm going to try is to look into Kindle Unlimited. And if there's a book that I think I might like, but I'm not sure, I might try to find it on there or for a cheaper version. And then if I really love it, then I can go and buy the hardcover. So that's where we're at. I don't know if that made sense. I hope it does. But my goal is to definitely start to get down some of the TBR, the physical books that I own. And that way I can be a little bit truer to what I have on my shelves and what I can recommend you guys. So with that being said, those are my 2021 reading goals. Let me know down below what are some goals that you would like to accomplish with your reading in 2021. And let me know if you resonate with any of the goals that I have. And if you are excited for some live streams on the bookish side of things, let me know, because I kind of am. I've really only done live streams about writing, so this is going to be a new endeavor as well. And until next time, I will see you then. Bye.